Greetings, and welcome back to our Standing Watch program. Exciting events and developments are taking place in Europe, in Germany, in the Middle East, and around the world, which might very well set the stage for prophetic events, as told in advance to us in God's Word, the Bible. Let's start with an historic mission, a decision of the German government to send warships, 8 warships, into the Middle East, together with other warships from other countries, but under the leadership of Germany. And the official purpose is to see to it that Hezbollah cannot smuggle weapons into the region. At the same time, other European countries are sending ground troops into the region. And what we find now, my friends, is that Europe is going to become more and more present in the Middle East, even militarily. Not just 1 or 2 European countries, but the United Nations of Europe, if you please, are doing it now for the first time since World War II. And we also find that the Muslim world is still reacting with anger towards comments Pope Benedict XVI made in Regensburg in Germany a week or so ago, when he quoted a Christian emperor to the effect that Muhammad had only brought evil into the world and he had only brought the sword. Now, the violent reactions of the Muslim world toward those comments are rather telling, so much so that apparently even a Catholic nun was murdered in quote-unquote retaliation to those quote-unquote unfounded comments. Now, I'm not saying that the entire Muslim world feels that way and that they are supporting those radical elements amongst them who are sponsoring and instigating those demonstrations, but why don't those who are peaceful and peace-loving, why don't those stand up in peaceful demonstrations against their radical elements amongst them? And then we find that the Canadian press has just reported that Muslims are being warned and asked to leave the United States of America as another terrorist attack by Muslim terrorists is imminent. Then we find that in Palestine, radical elements have stated that Muslim troops will conquer and destroy Rome. And finally, on another occasion, it was stated by a high-ranking Muslim leader that Muslims will take over the city of Jerusalem and that the Jews will have to flee. Now, it is obvious, and the Bible makes this very clear, that Europe is not going to stand idly by when these things become more and more transparent. And Europe already having troops and a navy in the region will use it to prevent these kind of things from happening. We even find, surprisingly perhaps, that there's going to be a confederacy or an agreement, a confederation between some Arab nations and the United States of Europe under the leadership of Germany, but it will be against Israel, in opposition to Israel. Now, as I said, that might perhaps be surprising on the one hand, but perhaps not so on the other, when we think of what recently happened insofar as Lebanon was concerned, where pretty much the entire European Union opposed Israel's activities. At the time, it is very likely that the Catholic Church will play a role in this confederacy, and maybe one of the conditions for that confederacy will be that Muslim opposition against the Catholic Church will cease. It is also clear that when Muslims are trying, and if they should be trying, to take over Jerusalem, that the Catholic Church won't stand idly by either, because they are very much interested in, of course, Jerusalem and the holy sites there. And Bible prophecy clearly reveals that when this happens, and this confederacy I was talking about will not last long, it will be a very temporary one, and when then confrontation should develop, Europe will use its armies with the support of the Catholic Church and try to bring peace to this region. But Jesus Christ told us almost 2,000 years ago, when we see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, we will know that its end, and the end of this present civilization as we know it, has drawn near. That is why I said at the beginning of this program, these developments as we are observing them now are so tremendously important in light of biblical prophecy. The world will be shocked and surprised when these things finally happen, but you don't have to be, because you can know in advance. We have produced booklets which make those prophecies transparent for you. Please do yourself a favor and ask for our free booklets and read Europe in Prophecy and also the Great Tribulation and the Day of the Lord. Until next time, this is Norbert Link for the Standing Watch program.